Hello everyone, and welcome to another instalment of a football gaming themed chorizo cast. Here with me on this cold and windy Saturday is my partner in crime, my brother from another mother, the man from YouTube channel Dave's Game Room. Yes, it is, drumroll, it's Dave. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing really well. Been blown about a bit because I had to do the weekly shot, but I'm all good. How's yourself?
I thought you were going to say you were blown away by my intro then.
Actually, that too, guys, because that was an epic intro. Yeah, doing well, mate.
It was the best one. It was the best one yet. No, I'm glad you're doing well. Yeah, I'm okay. It's like I say, it's cold, it's windy, so I'm trying to stay away from outside like we should be doing anyway.
Yes.
And it's time to talk about video games because we all love video games. In this Chorizo cast, we're going to be talking about PES 2013. One of my subscribers asked if we could feature it in the series, so here we go. Me and Dave are going to explore whether it's the last great, or at least very good, edition of Pro Evolution Soccer. So mate, tell us about this footage and what system you're playing on.
So this footage is just an exhibition game of me playing PES 2013 on the Xbox 360. In terms of option files, there's no option file. This is completely standard, so everything you're seeing is genuine. I've not messed about with the game at all, and it's captured in 1080p 60 frames a second as it was on the 360.
Did you like this game when it released back in 2012, I think?
Yeah, 2012, I did. I spent quite a lot of time on this one. I played a good few Master League seasons, challenged myself by choosing a newly promoted team as well at that time. Remember, Southampton had just been newly promoted, and it was really, really good from a gameplay perspective. It was a very, very good PES game, and it needed to be, because up until that point, from sort of PES 2008 to PES 2012, yeah, PES was not in a good place, I think it's fair to say.
I'm glad you brought up Southampton, because my team in Master League in this version of PES was Newcastle. Yeah, that was decent, that Newcastle side. Mate, can you remember how much I used to rave about PES 2013?
Yeah, I can remember us talking a lot about it. I mean, at the time, the series we had been playing, which had had a bit of resurgence, which of course was the FIFA series, and we can't go a video without mentioning the competitor because it's the same game about the same sport. FIFA 13, we both played the demo of FIFA 13 and we hated it, so we thought we'd give PES 2013 a try. In fact, I remember you tried it first, and you said to me, give PES 2013 a go, Dave, because it's actually pretty damn good this year. And you were spot on. I can remember playing the demo on the 360 and thinking, this is actually very, very good gameplay-wise. And in actual fact, going back to it for this video, there's things about it that I like well above and beyond PES 2021's season update and PES 2020.
I'm glad you brought up the demo, because I was playing a lot of the demo late sort of summer, August, September 2012. And I was like, because I went in, like you've just said, I went in after the previous PES games, which were, they weren't very good. And I was like, oh, I'm going to give 2013 a go. I'm reading online, people saying, wow, this is actually pretty good. And I remember it was just international teams. I think I played as Portugal. I was like, wow, this feels weighty. The ball feels weighty and everything feels slower again, because Pro Evo generally used to be a slower thinking man's kind of video game, and it lost its way after PES 6.
Yeah, PES 6, and then went to PES 2008, didn't we? The sort of next generation, the proper next generation. And the gameplay, like you say, for some weird reason, I'm not sure what happened, but Konami changed it completely.
Yeah, after PES 6. So between PES 6 and PES 2013, like, I hated PES 2012.
Yeah, so did I.
I didn't like it at all. PES 2008. Some people rave about that game to this day. I don't get it. It's dog chod.
It is, and I remember just going back to PES 2011 as well. Champions League final day or final night, I came to your place because Manchester United were playing Barcelona in that CL final.
Yeah, you did drive down, yeah.
And I brought my copy of PES 2011 because I did buy PES 2011 and we played it and we weren't overly impressed.
No, we turned it off after a game or two and went back onto FIFA, didn't we?
Yes,
FIFA
we did.
was okay then. But yeah, so PES 2013, so I played the demo. I was like, yeah, I'm getting this on day one. And I always remember going into game and buying there was like a Steel Man United
Yes.
version of the game, which I picked up as it came in a steel box, which I've still got somewhere.
Yeah, I've still got it somewhere as well.
And we found an option file online. I think we actually bought one on a USB stick, didn't we? And it was posted out to us.
Yeah, there was an awesome guy in the community. I'm going to give him a shout out because he's still around. I don't think he does option files. That guy was DJ Damos, and he sold USB sticks where he spent hours and hours putting together kits, squads. And also, I think he did some stadiums because, Mike, what about PES 2013 with Stadium Editor?
Oh, man. I spent far too much time in Stadium Editor playing around with the stadiums. It was actually pretty cool. You could like what Deimos had done, and I don't know if people helped him with that option file. I know his job at the time was in design anyway, so his option file was really good. I'm glad you've given Deimos a shout out. Real top guy, actually. I hope he's doing well. And yeah, the Stadium Editor in that game, like in the option file we had, Deimos or whoever had made the try to make Stamford Bridge, etc., and they actually looked pretty damn good, didn't they?
Yeah, because you had a limited selection of stands and bits of the stadium that you could put together. But because I remember making St Mary's, because this was just before Deimos's option file, and I remember making what looked like a really good St Mary's, because St Mary's can look a bit generic from some angles with the red seats and the way that the stands are, and it looked really good and it was quite decent. And of course, what happened after that, for some reason, Konami removed it, and I have absolutely no idea why.
Well, wasn't PES 2013 the last game before we got to Fox Engine? I think PES 2014 was the first game which used the Fox Engine, wasn't it?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and PES 2014 we'll cover in another video.
Sure. Yeah, that'll be worth looking at, actually. So I don't know why they removed that feature. My favourite thing about PES 2013 and Pro Evo games in general is the Master League. That's where you would spend all your time, and that's where I would spend all my time. PES 2013, I'm going to go on record here and say this, and it's just my opinion, guys, is how I feel, has got the best, most in-depth Master League in any out of all the versions of Pro Evo.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the best Pro Evo games overall. And I'm not saying it's quite up there with some of the ones we've mentioned in recent times, like PES 5 and PES 3.
Gameplay-wise, it's not. No.
Content-wise, it's fantastic. You're spot on. The Master League, and of course, the Stadium Editor. I keep banging on about it. It's brilliant because it adds another thing that you can try and make your team stadium if they're not licensed.
On top of that as well, if you're playing as a Spanish team, I had a second save with, I think it was with Bilbao. All of La Liga was licensed, and you had there was one or two missing, but you had nearly every La Liga Spanish stadium.
I remember, and it was fantastic because I remember you telling me do a La Liga season because you won't be playing in the same generic stadium. You'll be playing in a lot of the real ones, and you're spot on. It was really good as a package. I thought PES 2013 was good. I do think as well we do need to sort of touch on some of the downsides because there were a couple that both of us experienced.
Definitely. It wasn't the perfect game, no. But you didn't like the shooting, did you?
No, it was far too easy, and you could do it far too often to score what I would call a Super Ronaldo knuckleball shot, where Cristiano would punch behind the ball with his foot in a certain way. You could do that on PES 2013 with almost every shot if you had a clear sight on goal, and most of them would go in. And in general, I mean, it was still okay. The shooting was okay. It wasn't amazing. And do you remember the farcical online that we tried to do with PES 2013? Do you remember that widget?
Widget system. Konami's dodgy widget.
And the 2v2, which sounded like it was going to be really good, but they had to go and screw that up as well. We could only choose one player on the pitch for the whole game. Game.
I'll never forget that Saturday evening we spent, like, really excited. Like, we were text messaging each other in the day, like, mate, we're actually going to be able to play some co-op 2v2 on Pro Evo tonight, because years before that we'd always spend co-op seasons or whatever playing co-op on FIFA.
Yeah.
And we must have spent an hour and a half just trying to figure out the system. It's like, right, we've got this widget, because in PES 2013, guys, if you didn't know, as soon as you turn on the game and it boots you in, there's like a widget hovering around on the sort of top left or top right hand side of the screen.
Yeah.
And if you press, I think it's L 3 or R3,
Yeah.
it takes you into that widget then. I can't stop saying widget, man.
But you're right, though. And that was online focused, wasn't it? When you clicked into that, it was online focused.
And it took us ages, like Pro Evo generally does, but it took ages to find us a match. And then when it did, I was like, I think we chose Man United. I can't remember who we were against, but I remember I was like, Dave, I can't control anyone. Because it gave me the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I can't, like, mate, I'm just De Gea. I can't toggle players here. What's going on? And you were like, yeah, mate, I'm Chicharito.
Yeah.
I can't do anything else.
We were watching the AI.
And then the AI took control of the other players. And it's like, what's the point in that? What is
ridiculous.
the point? It was just one of Konami's many, many bizarre decisions that they've made over the years.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I don't understand why, because they only needed to look at what people were trying to do with FIFA. We weren't alone in wanting to do 2v2, you and me against some random people, but we had to do lobbies, didn't we? Because at that point there was no dedicated seasons mode. They didn't obviously look at feedback and look at what people were doing with the competitor game, which is what I would do in that instance, because we weren't alone in wanting to do 2 versus 2 online, cooperative gameplay, and not just picking one player, but being able to cycle through the players as you do when you do head-to-head seasons on FIFA.
Yeah, it's still making me laugh thinking about this bloody widget.
You'll think of that John Smith's advert. Widget?
Oh yeah, remember
He's got a widget.
Remember that?
Yes.
But yeah, the fixed players thing online was a letdown. Like you say, the knuckleball. I used to score a lot of long shots, especially if you were a player like Rooney. I mean, Rooney did bury them from outside the area on more than one occasion, obviously, but if you had a player like Rooney on the ball or whoever, they'd fly in, too many times. Like, it's not a goal that a striker scores 9 times out of 10. So there was that, but I'm going to go back to content. You had the Champions League license, Europa League license, you had all the stadia in Spain, then you had stadia for all the other leagues, sort of sprinkled in there. I think Old Trafford's in it 'cause it's in this footage. I just miss PES taking content seriously. So let's go up. So, the title of this video is PES 2013, the last great version of PES. Let's go after PES 2013 to kind of make comparison. In my opinion, the only really good version of PES since PES 2013 was PES 2017.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. PES 2017, because then some weirdness happened with 18 and 19. In fact, I think 18 and 19, the game felt really clunky and felt like an old game, whereas 2017 at the time felt pretty decent.
PES 2013, now and then I still dip into it. It's a decent game. Is it as good as PES 2013? I don't think it is, because gameplay-wise, it's up there, but there's no content. There's no content. You're playing at the same sort of 2 or 3 stadiums all the time. PES 2017 still got the Champions League license in Europa League, but you're playing Champions League games all the time, depending on the team you choose, obviously, at the same stadia. It's just, it really started to lose its way for me after PES 2013. So I am going to say yes, PES 2013 is the last great version of PES, and in fact, I need to find it on PC because I want to go back and play this game. Looking at your footage, real bad, because I love this game. It's actually in my top 3 PES games of all time. Okay,
that's quite interesting. So you say that's one of the last great PES, or the last great PES?
It is the last great PES. I don't even have to think about it. It just is, in my opinion.
If I had to pick one between, from 2013 onwards, then 13 trumps all the others by some distance, because the general gameplay of 13, I couldn't get over how responsive it was. It's a lot more responsive than 14, which was dreadful, but we'll come on to that. 15 and onwards, those games to me felt like they were taking a step backwards in some areas because they felt clunky, they felt too heavy. Players felt like you were turning a double-decker bus down a narrow street whenever you were trying to change direction. 2013 is very responsive. And take the shooting aside, I really did like PES 2013 a lot.
What I like about PES 2013 is, like we said about PES 3 a couple of Chorizo casts ago, how varied the AI was, like how varied your matches are in Master League. They're so varied.
Yeah,
the tactics in PES 2013, you could really get quite go deep with tactics on that game, and the AI would real change up the way they were playing depending on the situation of the game, i.e. are they losing, are they trying to go for a last minute win. It would constantly change its tactics. It was like playing against a human sometimes, especially for it. We got to remember it was released in 2012. It actually looked decent as well. I think visually it's quite a nice looking game.
Yeah, it's not bad, is it?
Really dodgy soundtrack.
Yeah, I remember that made me laugh when I booted that game up for the first time in ages. They call me a redneck, and I just fucking started laughing. Excuse my language. I just could not stop laughing.
Yeah, oh my days. There was another one as well that just like, I can't remember what it goes like, but it's just, my wife constantly laughed every time. Because there was only like 4 songs in the soundtrack, that song would just keep coming on like every sort of 7 or 8 minutes. And that's the one.
It's on my footage.
I'm not going to sing it, guys, because I don't know the lyrics.
But you could get, as I think it was as DLC, Castlevania themed music for PES 2013, because I chose that in the end.
It wasn't DLC. It was in the standard game. You just had to dig in the settings and go into the sound settings and the music settings to change it over. It was actually called the Konami soundtrack.
Yes, that's right.
And it would play like music from really old Konami arcade classics, and yeah, you're right, Castlevania was there. It was just, I used to do that as well because I could not be doing with Monster.
They call me redneck, and I know what to do. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, bad. Just bad.
Very bad.
But I mean, the soundtrack, it just does not matter in a football game at all to me, because you could turn it off or you could put your own music on in the background, whatever.
Yeah.
Gameplay wise and content wise, PES 2013 is the last great version of PES. I'm slightly optimistic for PES 2022 because they've left the Fox engine, and I'll be interested to see if we can go back to when PES was, like you've said, responsive, fluid.
Yes.
Fun to play. It hasn't been fun to play in the last few iterations because it got too serious, too clunky, it got too bogged down in BS, basically, because of the Fox engine. It just wasn't fun to play, and it hasn't been for years.
Yeah, completely agree. Same as it's next gen for PES 2022 as well. They're building it from the ground up. Let's hope they don't just focus on the whole eFootball aspect and make it just an esports title, because that will be so frustrating.
Yeah, I'm going to remain optimistic for PES 2022 until I hear or read something which suggests that, and then it's like, oh, here we go again. But anyway,
yeah,
guys, thank you so much for joining us for this Chorizo cast. Let me and Dave know in the comments if you want to see any particular kind of football game. We've got loads lined up for you guys, loads of games. So they won't always be PES and FIFA titles, will they, Dave?
No, they won't, because as you say, there's a lot of games, in particular from the home computer era, so bear those in mind.
Next week won't be a FIFA or a PES game, actually, guys. We've already got planned what we've got next week. But yeah, let us know in the comments any kind of football games you want to see us feature, us talk about. We've played them all.
Yeah.
And also, Dave, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure.
It's been awesome. Thanks, everyone.
I love it. Guys, you take care, enjoy your weekend, and I'll speak to you all very soon.